the Pediatric Lounge, a podcast taking you behind the door of the physician's lounge to get a deeper insight into just what docs are talking about today. From the clinically profound to the wonderfully routine and everything in between.
This episode is sponsored by our friends over at Hippo Education. Quick question. When was the last time you felt you were fully up to speed on the non-stop updates in pediatrics? Let me guess. Never. That's where Hippo Education's Pediatrics Reviews and Perspectives podcast comes in. Your monthly pediatric cheat code. Fresh, up-to-date insights from pediatric clinicians who live and breathe the same challenges you do. No fluff, no boring lectures, just practical knowledge you can apply on your next shift. The best part, you can listen and earn CME whenever it works for you on your commute between patients or during that rare quiet moment. So, if you're ready to make staying informed easier, check the link in the description or visit hippoeducation.com to try Hippo Education today. Hi, happy April Fool's Day, my friends. Back from a wonderful weekend of CME in Miami with Dr. Ronnie Garinge of Nicklaus Children's Hospital, a hospital that started as a polio ward and now is celebrating 75 years. We learned that T1D is an autoimmune disorder and you can diagnose it early with autoantibodies to prevent DKA, that chlamydia is resistant to Zithromax, and that antibiotic prophylaxis does not prevent re-scaring. These new concepts are being discussed at the American Academy of Pediatrics, resulting in a resolution to offer screening to all children in the office and a new practice guideline on urinary tract infections. Now on to the second half of the show with Dr. Allen from North Augusta Pediatrics in South Carolina. How are you thinking about the day that you will be retired or you won't be running the practice anymore and that this culture will be sustained?
Well, I'm hoping that the people who take over for me will have been a part of my practice for a while and will continue that. But, can't guarantee that. I don't know that for sure. I'm 69 years old. I could probably do this for another 10 years, I believe. So hopefully I'll keep on doing that. But, what do you do next? How does this change? I don't know. I'm the sole owner of my practice. So I've got to figure out what's going to happen with the ownership of the practice once I step down. I spoke with private equity last year. 2 different firms offered me, to buy my practice, and I decided not to do that, that I wanted to continue it just like it is. So we'll have to see down the road what my other providers are going to want to do.
Well, practice, I look at the website, the practice looks really good. Lots of people, probably lots and lots of patients. The buildings looks good. Is it a technologically advanced practice? Or
yes, we are. It's according to what you mean by that. Certainly we use computers, we use EMRs, and that sort of thing.
Well, that's the kind of stuff I'm sure you're not on paper anymore.
No, but we
PCC, right?
We use PCC.
It's beautiful company.
Yes. And, it really opened my eyes to pediatrics around the country because I was on paper until 2020. I was on paper until then. And, that was when, we started, on an EMR the year of COVID, was what we did.
Wow.
I think we were like the last place that PCC visited before everything was shut down to get started.
Did you guys integrate any of those like medical AI scribe software programs?
I have looked at them, the Freed AI. If I were still, actively seeing patients, I'm really just managing things now. If I were actively seeing patients, I would be using probably Freed AI for my more complicated visits because I load it. But my younger providers here, they type so quickly that they're able to get it done. They'll see my providers here, they see 20 to 25 patients a day and their charts are done by the end of the day.
Right.
Wow.
And that's not using a scribe.
Well, PCC is a good product for EHR, so it does make it easier. But, we have Office Practicum, which is just as good. And I use a free AI scribe. And it makes my notes so much better.
Yeah.
Before we used to use templates. You hate template verb.
I don't hate templates. I hate the way the EHRs is structured because
Yeah.
that there's a lot of garbage there that nobody really knows. Like, like nobody really knows it was done, wasn't done. And so you can't get to the meat of the problem, what you wanted to do.
Right.
If you saw a patient, then I'm following them up because it's Sunday. I don't really know what you were thinking because it's all templated. It's all the same garbage.
Yeah, but the templates were created many, many years ago by somebody who thought that that was probably the way most physicians would respond to this particular problem. What has happened with the free AI for me is I do everything that you're supposed to do in the room most of the time. The note is pretty darn good. And I would drop it on top of the templates in there. And then you started to get a lot of word garbage. So I'm starting to get rid of templates and just using default empty screens and drop it in my note into that, because this way you could actually read what I wrote and understand what I tried to do.
Right.
So you have to kind of like get away from the templates.
So when I started the urgent care back in 2003, I had a proprietary EHR, and it looked very much like a word processor,
Mhm.
but you could highlight certain fields like prescriptions, and it would put you to a structure field to write the prescription. Or you could highlight a word, and then it would give you the option to drop it in past medical history, or highlight a word and put it in family history. And I had templates for strep throat, pharyngitis, ear infection, ear pain, bronchiolitis, lacerations, everything, right? The physicians that worked with me said, "You're driving us crazy. Just
Mhm.
one normal template." I mean, what do you mean? Like normal template, Herb? Just, you know, the, when did the problem start? What makes it better? What makes it worse? What's you're concerned about? Type in the normal physical, leave the assessment blank, and I'll write in the plan. And they would just go in there and they would delete the parts of the physical they didn't do. They would delete like the ear, the ear exam was normal and ear infections, they would write, type in, eardrum red, pus, draining. And it's so much easier. And everybody else used it. Instead, I had all these templates for different conditions. But I was interested in going back. I think I saw on your website that patients can text your office already.
Yes, they can.
So
And we just started doing, uh, allowing them to make their own appointments, at least their regular checkups. So yeah, they can text us things.
I think that would be very technologically advanced.
Yeah.
Most old practices don't have online scheduling or texting to the patient. The newer guys and gals that are opening practices, they all have text from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they communicate. And then I want to, if I can pry a little bit, because it dovetails with our episode previously. Why did you walk away from from private equity?
You know, the purpose of private equity is to make money. And that was not our purpose here. Ours is quality medical care, compassion, and business success. And the way they work is they come in, they buy a practice, they pay me a certain amount compared to my EBITDA, my profit, and then they'll let me work for them for a few years, keep doing the stuff that I'm doing now, and then they sell it to somebody else to make a living. They want to take that profit for the next 5 years to pay off what they paid me, essentially, and then they want to make more money. Well, if I can stay with it for 5 or 10 more years, then I can be the private equity, and I can keep the culture of the office the same without having somebody somewhere else telling us how to do things. Uh, you know, People here depend on me, and frankly, I love what I do. I love being a pediatrician. I love running a business and dealing with the people. And as
Yeah,
long as my health holds up, then I'm okay.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
great. That's a good culture. That's good legacy for your practice. Hopefully the younger folks understand it
Mhm.
and they buy into it they buy into your practice. They should, because you can't throw a shingle up and, build it and they will come. It just doesn't happen anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I built the urgent care, I found that, and this is 20 years ago, right? Um, the younger physicians were already so burdened with student debt that nobody really wanted to put equity into their practice.
Yeah.
And it was just like, look, I already have $250,000 in debt for student loans.
Yeah.
My spouse has $150,000. We got $400,000 on the house and $30,000 in each car. Where do you think I'm going to get the money to buy into anything?
It's called sweat equity.
Well, that
That's
was
right.
the old model, but many of these, that was the old model. But today, his office has been there for 40 years. Somebody coming in today can't put sweat equity into. They're
Why
going to
not?
put some money.
Well, they can put sweat equity, then they can devise a package for when Dr. Allen retires that they can take and over time, like, pay him out a little bit. Because if he sells out to the private equity, he'll get money, he'll go home, he'll be fine. And then they'll destroy that practice. And those people with the 2 cars and the house and the mortgage will have no job eventually, more than likely.
George, but you just said it. Yes, somebody's going to have to pay Dr. Allen at the end of the road when he leaves.
Only right.
Right. So that's not sweat equity. That's dollars and cents.
Well, it could be a combination of the two.
Oh,
But
yeah, well, that's
this
dollars
week-
and cents. And people are saying, I already owe so much money.
Okay.
I can't stomach borrowing money from the bank.
And you got to go work for the man for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Then they do.
Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody smart enough to see. I wish he was around the corner from us, because I know that practice is successful.
Yeah.
So we've already taken over 2 practices of senior physicians. It's a very simple formula. You come up with some number, you give them that number, you have them work for you a little bit, well, a couple of years, you pay them well, you give them some benefits and stuff, make them happy. They go around, they see patients, they do what they want to do. They get rid of all the administrative burden. They help with the culture of the new generation to how to be a doctor. And then when they're ready to go.
But that's a question. The question is the younger physicians,
Mhm.
will they have the courage to step up and put some money?
Well, you want to
And
make
that's
you
a
gotta
different
put up money.
question.
Lawyers are no different. They do the same thing. Actually worse.
Well, yeah, it will come down to that, where a decision has to be made by everybody involved, whether or not to continue this the way it is.
We'll find a job.
Private equity will pay me for this.
Yeah.
And if I sell it to other providers in my practice, and then I won't be expecting nearly as much from them as I would from private equity.
Correct. But the legacy continues.
Their legacy continues.
You don't seem to be a greedy person. You just want a little bit of a nest egg, which is
Right.
unreasonable.
After 40 years of working on the business, of course you should get more than a little bit of a nest egg.
I think this whole private practice thing, negativity started probably from other pediatricians saying that a private practice has no value. You know what? It has a lot of value.
Sure.
The patients are in the building. The building is like McDonald's. They come to McDonald's to get their burger that's in that building. Whether Dr. Allen is there or Dr. Mindy Stanfield is there, or Dr. Newsom is there, or Fields is there. They're still making the burgers that the people are coming to that building. The building is very beautiful on your website.
And we were, one of the things is I feel like I'm the luckiest man alive in terms of my business, because where my building is perfect. We're right next to the interstate. We've got growth all around us. We're just going to be busting at the seams. So there is tremendous value in what we have here just by our location itself.
Correct. And they're big enough. You guys are big enough to weather any storm that comes your way.
Yeah.
No, my personal opinion, all these doctors of yours put up some money. They all become, partners in this organization. They treat you well. They, you teach them, you mentor them, you teach them the business of medicine. It's not just about seeing patients. It's, the quality, the compassion, and the business. They got to learn the business part of it. And, how to run reports in PCC. Not so easy. You run the reports, then you got to analyze them. And then the dashboard. You can't, somebody has to spoon feed you a little bit, the patients are on the practices they eat.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll be dispersed all over the place. So much, so much.
I think the real barrier is people feel stretched thin financially. And
It's
so
any field, Herb. It's nothing to do with medicine. It's any field.
I don't know. How many years have you practiced as a lawyer, George?
What?
How many years have you practiced as a lawyer?
I haven't practiced as a lawyer, but
How
I know
about as an accountant?
they all
How about
have
as a trash collector?
have a lot of
You
lawyer friends.
haven't. You only know one thing, which is pediatrics.
I know the business of
We don't
medicine.
know. We don't know what the life of a lawyer is because there are lawyers in DC that charge $2,500 an hour. There are lawyers in DC that charge $250 an hour. Some are making millions and millions, and others are making $60,000, $70,000 a year. So we
That's
don't really know what the experience of a lawyer is because we haven't lived it. I've
I know.
never ran a law firm.
Business
So
is business, and medicine is business. Simple.
if
It's
it's simple, private equity wouldn't be going bankrupt all over the place, George. They've been able to take mom and pop dry cleaners, aggregate them, sell them for a profit, raise prices,
yeah.
and make them more efficient. And they have not been able to do that in medicine. We see
Mhm.
hospital chains, we see um, physician groups all go bankrupt with
Why
private
is that? Why is that?
because it isn't a regular business,
I
which
know
is
that.
great. Well,
That's the
you're
problem.
arguing with yourself,
Because
George. You're arguing with yourself. You said business is a business. The business of medicine is very different than any other business that you run.
yeah.
Maybe the only thing that would be comparable would be banking, which is they're so highly regulated and there's such mass concentration that they kind of maybe and their margins are small, right? Banks don't make big margins on you and me. They make big margins on private equity and private banking, other stuff. It's a hard business, and so
Hard business because you have to respect that MD, whether it's the younger one or it's the older one. You know what Chip Hart told me? Do you know what your MD gives you? What is your MD worth? One of you guys tell me.
What's it worth?
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
it. No.
You know what your MD is worth? It gives you a little bit of a head start compared to your other colleagues that you went to school with, business and lawyers and accountants and all those guys. It gives you a little bit of a head start. The rest is on you.
For
If you
sure.
get that head start and you continue and you're smart and you do good medicine and compassion and business, you'll be successful. Just because you have your MD doesn't make you, that successful. And a lot of people think that it should. It should, but it's not a guarantee. It's never a guarantee. And this was from Chip Hart, who was not an MD. What do you think of that, Herb?
I think you're all over the place this morning, right? Because medicine is not medicine is not a business like any other business.
No, it's not.
Especially if you're true what Dr. Allen just said, which to him, number one is quality, number
Yes.
two is compassion, and
Yes.
number three is having enough blood in the system so the heart can pump and the brain can continue,
Correct.
right? Most businesses don't run that way. Most businesses run on profit, 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 profit. And then, they'll do the quality that's necessary to get the profit, no more. And that's not the kind of business Dr. Allen wants to run.
No.
And so medicine is a tricky business because if you believe like Dr. Allen, the quality comes first, sometimes at the expense of profits. That is not how a business person thinks.
Correct.
That's why that private equity is running into trouble, because they flip it. We'll do the quality that's necessary to maintain the profits, not we'll do the quality that we want to do because these are our patients. And then there's experience. I mean, I would imagine certain jobs, certain companies can be run by anyone. They're just dollars and cents. But in medicine, there's a skill set that only a physician has. And that skill set can't be transferred, can't be outsourced to Vietnam. The person has to come in, touch you, listen to your story, try to figure it out, try to figure out if they can do the job, or if they need to send you to a specialist.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes time to learn.
Oh yeah. It takes how many years, Dr. Allen?
I'm still learning, as I just did last month.
Goes from generation to generation. It's incumbent upon you to teach your doctors the next generation of how to do things. Yeah, they're good with computers and stuff. Yeah, they're all fantastic with computers, but they have to learn these things. And it's a tough business, yes. But I think Dr. Allen has the secret sauce.
Well, he does. He does. The question is, people younger than us, because pediatrics doesn't make $500,000 a year, $1.5 million, like an orthopedic surgeon, are they comfortable borrowing money to buy a business? That's the question. That's the rub.
Yeah.
If every pediatrician in America was making $1 million a year, and they had to borrow $1 million to pay over 3 years to maintain that job that they're happy at, it would be an easy answer.
Mm-hmm.
But when pediatricians are not making that kind of money, and they got other priorities, they got children, they have spouses, they have homes, they have parents that age, it becomes, can I afford this risk?
Yeah, but that's not a unique thing to medicine. That's a thing for every profession out there. They all have children. They all have parents. They all have daycare. They all have school. They all have soccer. They make you work.
The big difference between medicine and the other businesses is that we spend 11 years of our lives,
Yes.
great years of our lives, getting ready to do this and building up $300,000 in debt during that time.
Right.
So behind the 8 ball when we start. So there has to be something that makes it more affordable for us at that time.
So you have a head start on the starting gate. So you're running faster.
Yeah.
You keep running.
You do.
You don't walk slow.
Yeah.
So
I've been running for 25 years.
So the problem for the pediatricians is that most pediatricians don't make anything above 500,000. If you're an orthopedic surgeon today, you come out of residency, you put 5 years of residency, but your starting salary is $500,000.
Yeah.
If you're a radiologist right now, it's probably $650. They want them, they're paying anything for them.
Mm-hmm.
And you top out at the $1 million or plus mark. The pediatrician starts at 160, tops out at 250. And so they cannot zero out the student debt.
Yes.
And use the money that they're saving to go ahead and make investments.
Yeah, but you have to differentiate between Dr. Allen, the pediatrician, on this side, and Dr. Allen, the entrepreneur, on the other side. They're two jobs.
Yes, but again, the younger people are burdened by the debt, and they're looking at this. I can't clear my student debt. How can I borrow more money to keep this business going that I like?
I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I just think you have to be compassionate. You just can't say that's the right answer. Just do it because I'm George Rogan. I'm telling you to do it. That doesn't work. You're not being compassionate towards those people that have different pain points, different lived experiences that you did. And, it's real for them.
Yeah.
It's real. This episode is sponsored by our friends over at Freed AI Medical Scribes. Let's hear what they have to say. What if you could take the computer out of the physician-patient relationship? With Freed, you can. Freed is the AI medical scribe that listens, transcribes, and crafts perfect soap notes for you seamlessly. This isn't just another productivity tool. Freed is a life-altering solution for physicians, helping you regain the joy of practicing medicine. Freed frees you from the burden of documentation, so you can focus on what really matters, your patients. With Freed, the computer is no longer a barrier. It's a quiet assistant that works in the background, capturing every word of your patient interactions, accurately and quickly. The result: you're fully present in each visit, building stronger connections and offering more attentive care. And when the day is done, your notes are too, leaving you with more time to focus on yourself, your family, and your life outside of medicine. Freed is the solution thousands of physicians swear by to reclaim their passion for medicine.
We had one physician in our office that we got a student loan given us for $120,000. And she left us. She had a commitment of 3 years. So she didn't get the money from the state. Why? She rented an apartment close to the office at $4,000 a month, of course. It's a little bit much for a single person, right? That's a mortgage. Then she realized that that's a lot of money. So she moved back home with her parents, which is about 40 minutes away. So now the commute became a little bit much. And we kind of work. We see a lot of patients. This is what we do. So she didn't like the commute and that she has to work. So she pushed away $120,000. I'd walk.
Well, this is one of those lucky things for me here. When I built my office, I did not realize that I was 200 yards inside an underserved area.
So go build a building over there, build an office space over there.
We built this, and I was able to become a rural health clinic. And I did not know before I built the office. And what that also allows is for doctors coming in, they can get those loan forgiveness funds when they come in and join us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a marvelous way of making it work.
And making it work. That's doing it. That's figuring it out, resolving problems.
And the rural health clinics are not like the FQHCs, right? They can be privately owned.
Wow, that's brilliant.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's a nice thing. And they do pay you like an FQHC, right? It's a cost basis plus a margin for profit.
Sure. It's an amazing difference in what they will pay. We are 65% Medicaid. And so it pays a tremendous difference for, say, a 213.
Yeah. So you're doing the right thing. Good quality and money will follow.
Yeah. Hopefully. And lucky.
Yeah, that is lucky.
You know what? Business is sometimes luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it is luck.
Sometimes it's luck. There's no guarantees.
Dr. Allen, how do you handle change in your organization? Because the world's constantly changing, sometimes at a speed that makes your neck hurt.
Well, one of the things that I realized after several years, after probably a lot of years, was that every problem, every change that had ever come up, we had solved it. Nothing had defeated us. We had solved every problem that ever came up. So now whenever something new comes up, let's just solve this one too. And so we just keep on doing it. We learn what we need to learn to deal with whatever new regulation they've come up with. I hire the people that I need to hire to fix whatever problem we need to fix. In our after hours clinic that I said we had earlier, the manager out there called me one day and she said, Dr. Allen, we've got a major problem. And I said, did anybody die? And she said, well, no. I said, okay, then we're okay because we can fix everything else because the things that we do are so serious. We're talking about life and death. Everything else we can fix. So I take a very laid back approach to that.
That's a good approach.
Yeah, there's a lot of change, right?
I mean, change is, I remember we had a senior physician. I mean, they were of the old school hierarchy, I'm the senior, you're the junior, do as I say. why would we do this? Because we've always done it like this for 40 years and it works. So why would we need computers? Why would we need an EHR? Why would we need the new office? Why would we need to renovate? Why would we need to move? It's called progress, you
That's
know?
right.
And if we followed in his footsteps, we'd probably still be in that white panel, little office with the small 6x6 rooms and a stink in the hallway and a disaster. It was great for back then.
Yeah. I think there's an opposing side to what you just said, George. Certain things work and there's no need to change it. And you've tried, and worse yet, sometimes you've tried 2 or 3 things different to do something, and it doesn't work.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, yeah, I know this isn't exactly the best, but we tried changing it 3 times, and we tried the solution you're proposing. It was worse than what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to change.
You're
It
correct.
doesn't mean that you don't innovate. It just means that certain things are what they are, and they're running pretty well. There's no reason to be changing the system just because somebody got a bug that, we should do this now. Well, not really. It's working, right? And it's made us successful and allows us to stay true to our values and build our culture. So we don't need to change that.
But I think a lot of this change stuff is ingrained, learned. I don't know. It's a doctor thing. Okay. You just get so used to doing it the same way over and over again. Why bother? I mean, the medical scribe AI stuff. Okay. When I was first introduced by Dr. Igor to Creed, he says, you should look at this. This is really good. I said, why would I want to do it? I wrote the templates. I know the templates. I designed the program with my office. Nothing's going to make me faster. The second day at the conference, he tells me, you should look at this medical scribe AI. I don't need it because the computer's template is so perfect. I have medical students that help to type, so I don't really have to type. Nothing could make me faster than not walking into the room. You know how he got to me? He got to my ego. He says, George, on the third day, do you want to go through life knowing that I knew something that you didn't? And I called him back 2 days later after 5 patients. This is life altering. Okay. I could have continued with my stupidity, or I could have tried it to see what happens. Worst case scenario, it failed. It was no good. I said, I tried it and I failed. But, but I think that's just personality, doctor personality. I find a lot of people, you try to get them hooked onto this medical scribe business, they won't touch it.
I hate to disagree with you, George.
How much did I have to torture you to get it?
We had you bully me into getting it. That's how you get things achieved, which is not. It's not the most effective way to lead.
I got you to do it, right?
People will walk away.
But I got you to do it. It makes your life better.
The problem with physician culture is that we spend 11 years learning how to do something one way, and it works. And we have the evidence that it works.
Correct.
And so, for example, on God's earth, the few ear infections I see now, why would I not treat them with amoxicillin at 40 milligrams per kg BID? Why? Why would I change the antibiotic? It works. Why would I even think about changing it? There's I don't know how many trees a forest probably was taken down writing the articles to teach us that. I see strep. Why would I treat it with anything else than amoxicillin twice a day for 10 days? Why? There's no reason to change that. And I've plenty of evidence that shows that that's the right way to treat a patient with that condition. And so you're asking somebody that you have trained to say, show me the data, show me the long-term outcomes. Let's not do something that looks like may be good, but we don't have the data and there may be some bad outcomes we don't know about. And then you're asking them to pivot as the world changes very fast on other areas without any um, um, without any without any data. There's absolutely no data, no studies, no double-blinded controlled trials for 5 years that show me that using an AI scribe is better than not using one.
Herb,
So
if
if
my
you're
day is better, I am not stressed that I go home on time. What data do you want?
That's not good enough for doctors, George.
Enough for me.
That's not good for well, it's good for enough, but you're not being a true doctor because a true doctor is going to say, "Show me the data,"
Paralysis by analysis.
and then you're going to have others that go one step above and say, "What does the AAP say about this?"
Whatever.
Right? But you can't blame the doctor. You spent 11 years.
Misery and claim physician burnout, claim the job is too hard. Oh my God, cry a river, or try this and go home on time.
I
It was an
think
excellent book. I don't know if y'all have read Who Moved My Cheese. But
yes, that's a great
Yes.
way.
Yeah.
This is a
By
great
Blanchard.
and this speaks to this when you're comfortable in your situation and things are going well. Sometimes we sit there too long and things don't go well. And I actually experienced that in partway through my career and realized, and I read this book and realized, yes, I had gotten complacent and I was not moving forward. And so when there are changes come along, we have to look at them like AI. There's no doubt that if I were seeing patients at the level I was seeing them before, I would be using this. Igor and I have talked about this at length at PMI and
Yeah.
looked at this. So I would absolutely be using it all the time.
Igor's a great guy.
Yeah.
He tends to change a little too much. Like, for example, he showed me this other AI scribe. So I said, try it, George. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing. I tried it. So I would try it on one side, the other one on this side, head to head. Maybe the other one was a little bit better. It gave you some ICD, 10 diagnoses from the words that you said, but it's not in the note. It's just a menu. Do I need a computer telling me how to think? No. And then they wanted to come back to flip it, to change it to the other company. It was just as good as the one that we were using. The doctors were already comfortable. Money-wise, it was exactly the same. So there's no reason to change that one. But in a hospital system, somebody will come and give me some money or something to change and convince all the doctors to change. For us, at our level, there was no good reason for me to have a conversation with Herb to say, Herb, now you got to use this other product. Because he's already used to this. But a lot to change in practice.
Yeah.
Changing the world and life.
Yeah, yeah. But you got to change for the right reasons, not for the sake of change. Well, I've been married 35 years. I've been at the same job.
George, you need an MRI today. Like you're all over the place, man. You're just like, you are just.
All right, let's close.
I'm worried about you. So, Dr. Allen, what do you think the future of pediatrics will look like?
Well, things have changed so much in terms of what we have to take care of. We are not, as general pediatricians, we're not doing spinal taps and intubating newborns like we were in the past. So much of what we're doing has to do now with mental health, social situations. So we're having to change in that area and learn those things more. Since the infectious disease is slowly going away, it's going to be a totally different picture. And we've got access to everything that we need to know. If we don't know something, we can look it up. It's difficult for people to spend so many years in med school and still not make a good living as a pediatrician. I think we're going to see more and more of the mid-level providers, which, we use in our office and most big offices do now, because medical school and residency takes so long that it's going to become, being a pediatrician being a primary care doctor of any kind is going to become more and more difficult because the expense keeps going up of going to school. And it's not like they're paying us a whole lot more all the time to make up for that.
Yeah, what I don't understand with medical school is, why does it have to be so long? And why does
Exactly.
it have to be so expensive? They don't go to school. They don't go to a place. There's no lecture halls. There's no professors. It's a silly Zoom thing, and they use UWorld, and they learn everything from UWorld. And you probably could learn it from YouTube. The medical students do use YouTube. Why the $70,000 kicking?
Yeah, that's right.
What are your thoughts on that, Herb?
I think the U.S. is a very wealthy country,
Mm-hmm.
and we got over our skis.
Yeah.
We don't need to spend, most countries don't spend 8 years to produce a doctor. They do 6 years. This idea that college is a place that you go spend 4 years and party
Mm.
and live out the wilder dreams of your life, and then you spend another 4 years borrowing money to get through medical school. And then you do another great 3 years of residency,
Mm.
and then you do a 3-year fellowship in endocrinology so you can make less than the general pediatrician so you can take care of diabetic kids. It was all because we have plenty of money.
Maybe.
Now we don't. So I think we have to go back to a more simple, less regulated, less opportunity for universities to make money. And so you may do a 2-year residency in pediatrics and a 1-year diabetes year because your passion is to take care of diabetic kids. And you don't need to know about thyroid and, all the other endocrine problems. You don't need to do bench research. You're going to be a clinician taking care of type 1 and type 2. That's all you're going to do. And I think probably the physicians, people only with a lot of money will see physicians. Everybody else will see some AI assisted mid-level provider, and the physician's role will be, as Dr. Allen is doing now, managing quality and making sure the train runs on time, seeing the most difficult cases and guiding the team on how you manage that.
That's right. I agree with you on that, Herb.
Not my cup of tea. Being in clinic is draining because of what you see humanity suffering. And if you have any level of compassion, you go home and it's hard to shake it off. So you see certain things that you cannot unsee them. But there's also lots of little bits of time to be compassionate and caring and put your hand on somebody's shoulder and make a difference. And unfortunately, I think the new model, we're going to be removed from that. We won't have their hands on our patients. We'll just be leading teams. And I don't think there'll be less friction, but I don't think it'll be as rewarding. What do you think, Dr. Allen?
Well, I think it's evolving for sure. I think that the things that I take care of now are so different from what they were 30 years ago. And the mid-level providers that come into my office, they're excellent. I mean, the nurse practitioners, they're the best of the nurses because they've taken another step forward. So I'm able to be here and supervise that and teach them, and they come to me if they've got a question. So the more complicated things are what the pediatricians are going to be taking care of is my picture of what the future is going to be, because it just takes too long to become a pediatrician for the level of pay that you receive.
Yeah.
But hopefully somebody sees that at the whoever makes these decisions and starts paying more money for primary care. And I think they're starting to see that primary care is important.
Just a matter of where that money comes from. And, I don't think anybody's lining up to give it to us.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
Well, it's been wonderful seeing you. I love your emails and chatting with you, but it's much better to see your face and actually get to talk to you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. This has been a production of the Pediatric Lounge. On the show notes, you will find links to our co-host and other important notes, as well as a timetable of the topics discussed today. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave us a great review, as it helps us greatly. In the meantime, we will see you next week. The Pediatric Lounge. The conversations are not intended as medical advice, and the opinions expressed are solely those of the host and guest.